Hello and welcome. I am Craig Payhoper, and today on Inspired Achievers we have an Aboriginal elder who in 1986 launched her artistic career with her first art exhibition at the Australian Museum, where she sold 9 paintings. Since then she has had 14 solo exhibitions and 70 group exhibitions, and not content with painting canvas alone, she started designing dresses and gowns that have featured in Miss Earth Australia, Miss Teen Australia, Miss World and Miss Universe pageants. And she's won several awards along the way. She has exhibited her fashion designs in Singapore, the UK, Milan in Italy and Egypt, and has been around the world 5 times with her art. In 2003, our guest became the first Aboriginal designer to show a ready-to-wear fashion collection at Australian Fashion Week. In 2009, she won the Australian Deadly Awards for the deadliest dress and was a finalist in 2010. In 2012, she wrote her memoir with Jason Foster called Waiting at the Gate, and in 2014 was featured at Positive Runway for Fashion Week in Melbourne. Former Deputy Leader of the New South Wales Opposition, Linda Burney, said of our guest, "When I think of Australia, I think of it as an amazing mosaic of tiles. Billions of tiles, some of them shiny, some of them green, some of them blue, some of them black, some of them are large, some of them small. All part of our national narrative, and the tile of Robyn Caughlan is beautiful. It's deep, it's shiny and it's creative. It tells the story of a woman who has struggled. It tells the story of a woman who makes beautiful things. It tells the story of a woman who has humility as the very essence of who she is." Please welcome our guest, Robyn Caughlan. Hello, Robyn.
Hi, Craig. How are you?
All the better for having you here.
Thank you for having me.
Well, what a life.
Yes, it's been exciting.
It has. So in 1986, you had your first exhibition at the Australian Museum.
Yes.
What was that like?
A bit surreal, because you have to remember I lived at Blaxland in the Blue Mountains, so, but it was exciting at the same time.
Yeah, and so people bought your art. What were the comments from people who bought?
Well, they loved it, but it was just sort of like I did Ayers Rock and things like that then. But no, they loved it, and it went really well.
Tremendous. And how do you go from painting canvas to thinking, I'm going to paint dresses?
I don't know. I always wanted to reach for the sky. And it just happened. So it started out that Tour Design asked me to do some artwork on a gown that was worn by Michelle Van Emeren. Anyway, so I painted all around the bottom of it, and I put hands in like a beautiful green and gold, and I had a whole story to it, and that kind of, she saw something in that and come and stayed with me for a few days, and that's when I thought, well, I'm a designer, and I booked the Dane Jones Sutherland Centre.
Yes, in
I
Penrith?
had a fashion parade
Wow.
at Penrith, and then I got a bit scared and I pulled other people in again. Anyway, it was a success, but that's when the frill neck lizard was born. And I had all these storytelling gowns that came out, because I didn't know what a designer did. I just thought you had to tell a story to everything. So that was a success, and I just went on from there.
That's just a wonderful story. So you've created something special with the frill neck lizard gown. Today I've had the wonderful opportunity to photograph some of your gowns with a wonderful model And,
she certainly was.
and just tremendous the way she modelled those gowns. And one of my colleagues made the comment, which I shared with our model Ellie, that she gave character and form to each of the gowns she wore, and she said she felt different with them.
Yeah, she said that to me too, and to Tanya, and you could tell that she came to life, but in the Opera House one, it was a whole different, she became very angelic, and
Very.
This whole aura came over her, if you know what I mean. It was weird because Tanya and I were looking from a little way away, and you could see she emerged into
Absolutely.
something else.
It was
That
not.
was exciting.
It is. Well, that's the part that I find incredible about your gowns, is that there is something on. You referred to one of them having a handprint on them, and one of that gown has got lots of your handprint on them, and it's you've just painted your hand and then put it on the gown.
Yeah, exactly.
And I tell you, they really stood out today, and we'll be playing some of them through this video.
Yeah, no, I noticed that, but she brought them to life. Ellie brought them to life.
And so, in terms of the frilled neck lizard gown, for me it looked very intricate. It looked almost delicate, and that headpiece was incredible. Where did you go with that?
All over the world.
Wow.
And back 5 times. And the last time I was in Africa, and I don't know, we went to some temple, also in Egypt too, the last day, and they got flocked. People were just coming, and yeah, it's amazing how that gown, well, I love that gown.
Why do you love it?
Because the frill neck lizard moves swift and fast, and that's how life goes, you know. And I used to watch them at Kajigong, and they'd scurry up the tree, and I thought, they're really, I was terrified of them, but they're really beautiful, amazing, and when they open up, and that's where I got the whole concept.
Yeah.
And they're feisty little things.
Very much so. For me, I think they're nature's show-off.
Yes.
Because it's not a defence mechanism like I'm going to attack you.
No.
Sorry, it is a defence mechanism.
Yeah.
But they're not going to attack. They're just wanting to scare you and enlarge their presence so they can get away.
But like getting back to Ellie, I've had quite a few people wear that, even Miss Universe, but she, I don't know, brought it to life.
Yeah, she did.
Really, not just because I'm here.
Yeah.
Something else, like she should do modelling really.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Because she just brought each and every one to who it was.
Yeah.
So.
Well, for me, when I first heard of the Opera House dress, I thought, are you serious? Come on, what dress looks like the Opera House? It's a beautiful dress, I must say that. But I was still wanting to think, how is it an Opera House dress? Yeah. Until Ellie sat down, and then
the sails.
We could see the sails, and I was going, oh. Now, only because it was windy we didn't capture the full, but there's wire in them that form the sails. Yeah. And what an incredible, for someone who's not a fashion designer, to craft.
Well, I didn't know, like I used to see all the beautiful gowns and think, oh, but I had no concept of patterns, and I started cutting out like little jigsaw, and that's how it all come about. They're all in pieces. That's the only way I could do it.
Wow. And there's so many. Now, the painting behind you is a painting that you did for me, and I absolutely love it. It takes a pride of place in my home on one of its walls, and at your request, you put this scarf to me. I love your designs of the sturt pea and as they come together. And I think, how do you go from these things to Miss Earth, Miss Teen, and then from there, Miss World and Miss Universe?
Well, I met a guy called Jim Davies, and he actually got me into the Miss Universe, like to design a gown. And it sort of started from there. Then different ones said, oh, we need one for this and that. And I didn't realise how important the Miss Universe was. But yeah, and I said, oh yeah, I'll do it. And that's how it happened.
And so, did you get the chance to go to the Miss Universe?
I was offered, but I didn't have enough money, because they weren't paying, and I thought, anyway, it wasn't my time. I wasn't ready to go overseas then.
What an absolute thrill.
Yeah.
I've tried...
And I watched it.
Wow, and did you see your
I
dress?
saw my dress, yes.
What was that like? On the world stage?
Well, I just got up and went to bed after that. Oh, well, I've seen it.
I think Linda Burney was right. Humility is definitely a part of who you are, but I think that can also discount to some the depth and the quality of where you've gone with it. Like Miss Universe at one time, or Miss World, was Donald Trump's personal thing, and now look at him. Yeah. And so you've gone. Tell me, what was going to Egypt like?
I loved it, because I used to, when I lived at Lawson, in my bedroom I'd draw little pyramids on the wall, and Dad would keep, he'd tell me not to do it, he'd paint over it, and of course I kept doing it. I had this fascination with Egypt, right from the word go. So
you lived in Lawson as a young girl and were fascinated by pyramids. You drew them on the wall. Now, for those who aren't sure, Lawson is about an hour and a half just from Sydney City. So to give you some degree of difference, and it's quite rural for the most part?
Yes,
sort of.
Filled out a bit now.
Yeah. But back then, as a young girl, and then you drew pyramids. What was it like when you were standing in front of them?
I cried.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was profound. Sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
Yeah, so, it was just like something I'd never dreamt of, and here they were, let alone to go into them. And that was the feeling. You could honestly feel it's full of energy, just total energy.
Wow. Even after how many years? Thousands of years?
Yeah, you can still feel it.
Wow. Well, it seems to continue to draw lots of people there. And what was another highlight for you? So we've learned, was it going down the Nile?
I love that too.
Yeah.
I loved every concept of Egypt. And it was just like the people. It doesn't start 12 o'clock, they come to life. You don't eat till 12 o'clock at night. And then they dance, and they're just so happy. And that really struck a chord in me. And I thought, wow, here's the other side of the world, the place that I never thought I would be. And there's so much happiness. And that made me feel really kind of special, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, I think you've had lots of opportunities in your life that you may play down about feeling special. Like, what was it like when you were going to be in Miss Universe? What happened to the local media and everything?
They went crazy. Like, I looked out the window one day and there were all these guys with cameras, and I told them to get lost, more or less. And then they said, we're here to interview you. I'd watered the gown accidentally.
Okay.
I'd folded it up and put it on a speaker, and I had a plant over the top, and I watered it and forgot, and of course it all ran, didn't it? So, yeah, but they still met with me and did their story, and everything went crazy from there.
Wow. And so we can paint a picture. You've achieved so many goals, personal goals in your life. Did you ever start out thinking, I'm going to achieve those things?
Well, I wanted to do something. I didn't know what, and I used to also paint. I get fixations on things, JFK, and I'd do little portraits of him on my wall, and Dad would paint over, and of course they'd reappear in the pyramids. And yeah, and then I did 2 portraits of him, and I won awards at Lawson. And then, you know, in the magazine many years ago, they'd have, this guy would want you to paint like a dancing man, a rooster, and there was something else. And I did them. My neighbour, many years later, I'll tell you about that in a minute, I sketched them, and then a little while later, Dad and Mum got a letter. They wanted me to go to, I think it was Melbourne or Victoria somewhere, to go to school there, this art school, and of course I didn't want to leave, so I didn't go. And I thought, oh, they'd probably say that to every man and their dog. But many years later, when I lived at Blackson, my neighbour, he did the same thing, and they knocked him back and said, no, you can't draw. And it sort of went on from there. Then they wrote a letter to Mum and Dad again and said that I would end up a leading Australian artist. And I thought, you know, yeah, okay.
And a leading Australian artist, and...
Not quite there yet, but
well,
I'm getting there.
Well, let me tell you, the painting behind you and others like it are available, because I'd have to say, of my small group of friends who've seen it, several have said to me, wow, would you do one for me? And the ultimate thing is, your paintings now are fetching 4 figures, and so that's amazing, coming from a small bedroom wall in Lawson, drawing pyramids. So you've had a whole lot of highlights, and you've had your biography written, or you wrote your biography with Jason. What was that like?
Amazing, because there's a story with Jason. His mum and I are best friends, and he used to come down when he was 2.5. And I said to him one day, you're going to do something with your life one day. And I thought, what? He's a kid. And Chris looked at me, and then I said, but we're going to do something together. And I thought, what are you saying? Anyway, he is now an author, written many books, travelled the world. He's also a high school teacher. And we did do the book together. I had somebody else who wanted to do it, and I thought, no, I didn't like the way she went about it, where Jason and I, well, was obvious, I've known him, so and I trusted him.
It was more collaborative.
Yeah.
Mm. And the title, Waiting at the Gate, how did that come about?
Well, because I used to wait at the gate all the time for Mum. Anyway, she didn't end up coming, of course, but what happened after that, the night that I waited and I was waiting for her to come down the hill, I went back inside and I had a doll that I'd bought from my family with me. Anyway, it was pouring rain and I took that doll out the back, put it over the bit of wood, picked up Mum and Dad's axe and cut it into 1,000. And I was screaming, and I looked around and Mum and Dad were in the doorway. They didn't say a word. And that time I just released everything. And then I walked back inside and I said, you're my new Mum and Dad now, and I'm going to be known as Robyn Reid. And from that day on, I went as Robyn Reid.
Wow.
And that was it. They didn't have a choice. They got stuck with this kid.
And you've had certainly a life with so many difficulties and so many heartaches, heartbreaks, and I think the most amazing thing about you that I know is that you don't stay. You're not negative, and you don't live in that space. For some people, being abused physically, sexually, and a number of other things thrown into that, a young mum, and you've had so many voices telling you can't succeed.
Yeah.
I love that you have, even if your success was just to get on top of what they say, you've actually gone beyond it.
Well, I wanted to be in control of my life and show other people I can do it the way I want to do it. Not, that's what I wanted. And I set out to do it.
Fantastic. And so we're still here. We're a little past Lithgow at the moment, filming this, which is almost 3 hours away from Sydney City. And watching you today as your dresses were being worn was very interesting to me. Because these are your treasures, so to speak.
They're my babies.
Your babies. And the way that you cared for them and everything, but to see them come out and be worn as well as they were was a great thrill for me, just to watch your reaction.
The best one today, really it was. And I think the whole atmosphere, the bush, the people, it just worked.
Yeah.
It really did. Before I'd look at them, but I didn't. I'd think, I'm really lucky. But today I thought, wow, I am blessed, I am lucky.
Very.
And I actually enjoyed it. Normally I'd go and hide away, but I couldn't.
I'm so glad you didn't.
Yeah, well, Tanya wouldn't let me.
And so I want to ask the question, you've done so much, where do you go from here? What's next?
Oh, well, there's a lot. I'm working on 3 books.
Nice.
One's an art book, one leads up from the first one, go into the art, then there'll be a textile one, and just one with little stories and pictures. So there's that, and then somebody is sort of going to be using my textiles to go onto products and that.
Yeah, no, I heard about that.
Yeah.
So is it true your artwork will be mass produced in carpets?
Wallpaper. All sorts of things. Blinds. So that happens next year.
And I hear some of it are going into hospitals.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that.
Well, it's a great honour.
And that's not that far away,
Yeah.
So anyway, I've got a lot of work to do before then, so it won't affect me.
Wonderful. And I guess for people who may be watching, who have ideas, who have thoughts, and perhaps people who've been told, hey, don't worry, you can't do it. What would you say to them?
Don't listen. There's no such thing as can't. You're the creator of your own journey and your destiny, and just do it. Don't worry about what people think, because some people will just try and hold you back. You know, they may not mean to do it, but they do. Could be just by a couple of words. And so if you've got a little vision, do it. Give it a go. And I always say there's no such thing to fail. It's a learned lesson.
Absolutely.
So you've got nothing really to lose, have you?
Well, if you're watching this and you're in a position similar, follow Robyn's advice. Have a go. And you just never know where it might take you. Maybe around the world 5 times.
Yes, you never know.
And so we referred to your book earlier. So the book will make it available so that if people want to buy it, it'll be $54.95 including postage and handling.
Yep.
And just contact the email address below and we'll arrange to get it to you. And we might be able to trouble Robyn to autograph it for you. And if you want to get some of Robyn's art, this is only one of many pieces, but let me tell you, it's inspiring, and as I said, I absolutely love it. And I think I first was introduced to your art with Shirley Bassey's jeans that she wore, she autographed, and you painted. How much did they sell for? Do you remember off the top?
11,000.
11,000.
They went from 500 to 11.
Wow.
So that was good.
So they
Good
were auctioned off,
yes.
And with all the proceeds going to charity for the Children's Medical Research Institute for Jeans Day. But tremendous. I'm just so grateful that you could join us. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
No, just thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Okay, thank you.
Inspired Achiever, Robyn Caughlan.